But I see some major problems. So many problems. Let's start. Hi, welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. Now we have so many crazy parts lists for this month's Boost My Build. What is Boost My Build? It's where we take your PC part picker list, we tear them up, and we put them back together and massively increase your performance. Remember, if you get value out of the video, give it a huge like. This guy really appreciates it right here, and it really helps the channel out. Remember to subscribe and click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. With that, let's jump into it. Before that, this video is sponsored by Deepcool and their new CK series of mid-tower PC cases. The CK500 delivers a sleek, minimalist design without compromising airflow or value. The CK560 adds in a front airflow grille along with 3 ARGB fans to bling up your build. CK series cases come in black or white with an easy-to-remove tempered glass side panel, great front panel USB connectivity with 2 Type-A and 1 Type-C, support up to an eATX motherboard, and 380mm GPU lengths, and builder-friendly features like rubber grommet covers. If you're looking for a full-featured mid-tower case at an affordable price, then check out the link in the description for more. All right, Nicholas Lewington. Nicholas wants to do 1440p gaming, ray tracing, light streaming, video editing. They want to get into light gaming development. There's a lot of light stuff there. The main thing, however, is gaming. They just got a 3080 off of eBay, and they got a 5600X, a Ryzen 5600X for Christmas. Clearly, we're locked on those parts. They're not sure about the rest of the parts. They like the Kraken Z coolers. Of course you do for the LCD pump head screen. Everybody does. They want a black and white build, and they want to keep it under $1,500. Let's see what they've got. That might be hard. Okay, oh my goodness. We are in big trouble right off the bat. This is all the parts you've already purchased. RTX 3080, 5600X, and you got a Samsung Odyssey G7, great 1440p gaming monitor, one of my best last year, and in the recent 2022 monitor video I just did, I'll leave a link up there in the card to that if you want to check it out. So great monitor. We're playing at 1440p, but I see some major problems. So many problems. Let's start. I'm not even gonna go in order here because we've got a crazy expensive case, $529. No, this is the Lian Li 011 Dynamic, and people are like, what? Why is this case $520? Just because this is the XLW version of it, which is for it's the extra large super giant version of it. We do not need this case. First of all, I don't think you understand how massive this case is. I'm not sure this is something you want to necessarily put on your desk. $249 at Newegg. This case is also just really hard to find in stock. I don't know, it's shipping or whatnot. We'll get you a good case. We're not going to do this though. This is crazy. Again, you're already $250 over budget. So we got the 5600X. Then you went with the Kraken Z63 because yeah, you said, I really like these coolers. This is all white, the ring lights, everything. It's phenomenal, right? It's also $275. $275 for real, man. The 5600X comes with an included box cooler that you could use for free. Now you get performance if you go up in cooling, but this is complete massive overkill. This is 100% aesthetics, and that's fine. Maybe we'll be able to preserve that particular component, but you've got bigger problems. The bigger problem is you've got a very expensive X570 motherboard here, the ROG Strix X570F. People, Jason, what's wrong with that motherboard? Motherboard is absolutely great. I love it. It's a very nice motherboard, but what is the advantage of X570 over B550? B550 gets you 2 Gen 4 PCIe lanes, slots, right? They get you a graphics card slot and they get you an M.2 slot. That's fantastic. And if you want more Gen 4 SSDs than that, then you go to X570. Cheaper X570 too. You don't have to jump up to this. But look at your build. I don't see a single PCIe Gen 4 drive, let alone 2 or more, that would justify the X570 board. You can get the B550 version of this same board for half the price. So we're basically taking about $160 and we're lighting it on fire because we're not getting any of the benefits of that motherboard. So we did go with a generally kind of expensive, but actually for the market, not bad pricing. G-Skill Trident Z Neo, 32 gigabytes. Now this is DDR4 4000 CL18. One of the reasons I shy away from recommending DDR4 4000 memory is simply especially for new builders, I don't want you to have to tinker a lot with the memory. Some people were still having problems getting the Infinity Fabric to run at a 1-to-1 with this memory. So I typically recommend 3600 CL16 as kind of the top tier. And given that you're running everything at 1440p, you don't really need anything other than 3200 CL16, let alone 3600 CL16, let alone 4000 speed memory. So you're just not going to see any benefit from it. Again, spending money in places that we're not actually actually going to see performance benefits. The drive, 970 EVO, I used to beat this drive up because the price was really bad. The price has come significantly down, and frankly, it's now one of the drives that I would definitely recommend because it's a great product at a great price. We already went over the case. We won't touch that again. Your power supply is fine. Might just be able to find a slightly better deal out there. $120 on a 750 watt. It's about right for the market, but you can always find a deal. We'll see what we can do. You're paying for Microsoft Windows 10. I won't get into that on this particular one. I think though, for you're spending $1,747, you're already $250 over budget. I think we can massively bring the cost of this overall build down, because if you look at it, you're spending $3,700 on this build. I just built 5950X with an RTX 3080 Ti for just about $4,000, so only $300 more than you're spending. I built a much more powerful PC. It's because of the components and the marketing that's getting into our heads here. So let's see how we can fix this. Here's what I decided to do with this. Now listen, I get it. You want a lot of bling. So I could have come even further down right now. We are sitting at $700 less than you were spending for the same performance level. But I decided to let you go with the bling. I probably could have cut this down to about $700, even cheaper than that, and still gotten great performance. But we would have had to abandon the black and white build, maybe not gotten you some of the premium components. So let's check out what I did. I went ahead and swapped out the NZXT cooler. We've saved so much that you might decide to swap it back in. That's fine, but consider something like the Cooler Master Master Liquid ML240 Illusion. We use this in a Ryzen 5600X build, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. It's got some great effects on the pump head, by the way. Haven't really seen another cooler that does RGB like that. Doesn't have the LCD screen. I still think this cooler is a little smidge overpriced compared to some of the other ones you can get out there, but honestly, it looks freaking phenomenal, and if you don't mind paying for the aesthetics, that's a great choice. For the motherboard, we just went ahead and went with the B550F Gaming ROG Strix, because that's all you're gonna need. Now, if you need the Wi-Fi, there is a Wi-Fi enabled version of this for like $25, $30 more. Great board, gonna have all the features you need. It's gonna have great audio, looks phenomenal, the RGB's great, and it only costs half as much as your X570 one, which you weren't even getting the benefit of. I decided to stay with your memory. If you feel uncomfortable being able to clock that memory up, there are kits that are 3600 CL16. That's what I would probably recommend. But this is a pretty good, I checked around, this is a pretty good price for this kit. G.Skill tried, and look, it looks nice. It's great RGB memory. We can just leave it at that. Your drive was fine, decided not to change it. The case was a big sore spot. Yes, you were gonna spend like $300 to $500 on that case. Well, check this case out instead. This is the Fantex Eclipse P500A. So it's got 3 ARGB fans in the front. It's got this cool LED light strip down here, or RGB light strip down here, and it's all black and white. Looks absolutely phenomenal, and it's a fraction of the cost of yours. This one, right now, you can buy it for $145 over at Newegg. Power supply, I just found a similar power supply. A little higher wattage, though. 850 would make me feel a little bit more comfortable. I don't think 750 is undersized, but the 3080 can just really draw a lot of power very quickly. And I got us a better deal here. I saved us $20 on the Enermax Revolution DF850. And I added a Cooler Master fan. This is just to match the cooler fans. These look phenomenal, by the way. Overall, though, for $1,000, we came down $750. Use that money. Go out and buy some games, man. Buy lots of games with that. Buy some fun stuff with that. Don't blow it on components that aren't going to get you necessarily any additional performance. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. We've got AIM. AIM says they really appreciate our videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys as viewers. They have been planning on a new build for a long time, since they were freshmen in high school. The world went to heck. GPU prices are crazy, but they want to go ahead and finally build something. They want an all-white build. They're not quite sure how to achieve that. White PSU cables, all kinds of things. Mostly gaming, maybe some computer science stuff in the future. Let's see what you've got. I noticed you didn't give me a budget. Holy smoke, son. You're killing it here with the budget. $2,608 for a Ryzen 5600X gaming build with an RTX 3070 is absolutely insane. You could go buy a pre-built with most of this stuff for far less than that. So let's go through this build, because we are massively overspending, and I see a couple areas that jump out right off the bat. The first one is this X570S. I know why you're buying this motherboard. I get it. It's a white motherboard. Right now, the one I would typically recommend is the NZXT B550 all white board, but it's out of stock. It's out of stock everywhere. So you're going to substitute in this X570S Aero. This is a great motherboard, don't get me wrong, but you do not need this for gaming. This is for creator workloads that utilize a lot of Gen 4 SSD drives. This is not for gamers, and I would shy away from it unless you just, steep price cut or something like that. Obviously, then it would make some sense. And we're going to do some crazy things here. You have so many fans. These are $90 fan packs for 3 fans from Corsair for 120 millimeter fans. And you've got 2 of them. That is what, it's $95. That's like almost $200 you're spending just on RGB fans. And here's the insanity of that, because we're going with the Corsair 5000D airflow case, which is great. I can tell you want to populate this thing with fans. So you want 3 in the top, 3 here, 1 over here, maybe 2. I don't know. You've got just so many fans. This case, for only a couple bucks more, actually comes in an RGB version with some of those fans already installed. So you don't have to spend $90 on 3 fans because you're going to get them. And on top of that, for $90, you could get an all-in-one liquid cooler that has 2 fans, RGB fans, an all-white one, and then you wouldn't have to buy this Arctic Freezer 34 Esports Duo. A great cooler, but again, you could get rid of the cooler for the price you're paying for the cooler and the fans. It's like more than buying a premium all-white RGB all-in-one liquid cooler, which would give you the same effect, and it would make your build look even better. Also, we've got some great memory in here, but it's a stupid high price. This is a very expensive kit of memory for DDR4 3200 CL16, $220 for 32 gigabytes. We can do a lot better than that. And then, the SSD situation. Let's talk about your SSD situation. I want you guys to stop buying SATA drives. Listen, SATA drives are in the past, and other than maybe like 4 or 8 huge sized SSD drives, they are completely obsolete because M.2 drives are so much cheaper. Unless you don't have an M.2 drive, and then even then, you can get a PCIe in add-in card if you have an older system to get an M.2 drive in. So I want you to stop buying drives like the Samsung 870 EVO. I have a build with the Samsung 870 EVO. At the time I bought the Samsung 870 EVO, it was a smart thing to buy, and it made sense for the performance. But that was years and years ago at this point. That time has passed. It's time to step into the future. We need M.2 drives. Your power supply, wow, $142 for an 850 watt power supply. This is part of the challenge of what happens to people when they think that they have to get every last little nugget of performance somehow. They have FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Oh my gosh, I might miss out on 1%, so I got to spend another $300 over here. And they end up costing themselves performance because they're chasing down these tiny little gains. The first thing I would do if you want more performance out of this rig is I would either up the graphics card or I would up the processor. We got a lot to work on here. $2,600 is way too much to spend on this. We're going to get you fixed. Don't worry. So what we did here, we went with the 5600X. You wanted to go with Ryzen. We stuck with Ryzen. 5600X is probably going to be fine, especially now the prices come down to $270. We change out your cooler. We're not spending $200 on fans anymore. Instead, what we've done, we've bought a all-in-one liquid cooler for $10 less than the 3-pack of the fans you wanted to get. Great cooler, id Cooling ZoomFlow 240X Snow. This is going to give you everything that you're looking for in terms of the all-white, as well as providing you 2 of those RGB fans with a radiator, and you're only going to spend $85 to do that. We've also come down in terms of the motherboard. Now, right now, the motherboard I would prefer is the NZXT all-white one. It's out of stock everywhere. So we're going to do our best. Just remember, when you see this motherboard, I know a lot of people say, well, Jason, this motherboard's not really white. It's mostly white, but think about what the motherboard's going to look like after you populate it with components. So for instance, right here, you're going to have your CPU cooler. And in this case, it's going to be an all-white pump head with RGB effects. So this is going to have cool white highlights. Then we are going to go with 4 sticks of DDR, spoiler alert, RGB white memory here. So this is going to be all white as well. So this whole section is all white. Then you got your graphics card, which is already all white, and it's going to cover this major section of the motherboard down here. So really, you're just left with what? The audio section. And the audio section looks pretty sweet. I wouldn't necessarily want to cover that with anything. So this is going to be a great board for an all-white build. Just something to keep in mind. Memory, I just went for a cheaper kit of memory. You can just go ahead and buy 2x8, 2 kits, 2x8 to get that same dual rank. It's okay to do so. Just buy them at the same time. You'll probably get one. The serial numbers will probably be one after the other. These T-Force Delta RGB memory, I think they look phenomenal. I frankly think they look better than Dominators. I know some people are going to skewer me in the comments for that. But listen, I think they look better and they're a lot cheaper. $70 each, that's $140 instead of $220 we're spending on the memory. And then we completely fixed your storage right now. Right now, the best deal on a 2 terabyte is this Aberrant Rocket Q, 2 terabyte. This kind of changes. There's a number of drives that I would consider here. But for $180, start with 2 terabytes. You had 3 terabytes and you were spending, I think, something like $500, $400. No. Let's start off with 2 terabytes. Let's spend $180 and then see where you are. And you can always add another one of these drives for $180. That would make a lot more sense. We are going to fix some of your other woes by getting the Corsair iQ 4000X version of this airflow case. These actually come with a version that has 3 RGB fans in it. Our all-in-one liquid cooler will go on the roof of this thing, the RGB up there, and then we'll just need one more RGB fan in the rear. And I've just gone ahead and picked out one of the cheaper ones, which is the fractal design aspect. We are going to come way down on your power supply and give you an equally awesome unit, A-tier rated. This is the MSI MPG A650GF. These are A-tier rated units. They're all modular. They're overall phenomenal. Overall, we brought down your bill to $1,938 for an amazing level of performance still. You're gonna get the all-white build, and you're gonna get better cooling, and overall, just slightly better performance than your $2,700 build. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. Let's do a budget build. This is Crypto the Dragon. It's their first PC build. Ooh, budget first time in this market. Their goal is to have an entry-level gaming PC that they can upgrade later. Their current PC uses some kind of outdated proprietary motherboard. Sounds like you have a pre-built. Their budget is $1,000. They're confused about the graphics card. The one they have in there is simply a placeholder that they currently have. And they did get the CPU already, which they bought on sale for $150. Okay, I'm a little scared. Let's see what we got here. Oof, okay. Ow. This is a little bit of an issue, and let's go through why first. Ryzen 3 3100, you bought that for $150, you got kind of ripped off. I'm just going to be honest. Now that's just what it's going for. You could have gone Intel i5 10400 for the same price and gotten a 6-core, 12-thread CPU that will actually outperform the Ryzen 3 3100 with a B560 motherboard, as long as you can overclock the memory. This is okay. This is a 4-core, 8-thread CPU, but I would shy away from these CPUs unless they get back to where they're supposed to be at like $90. That would be fine. The motherboard, I like this board. This is one of my favorite price for performance. ASRock B550M Pro 4. It's a micro ATX motherboard, got decent audio quality on it, but I can see that we're overspending because you stuck in here that your Asus R9 270, and I can see that we're at $534 already. Well, yes, I could just go ahead and just throw a graphics card in right now for about this, and we could probably make your $1,000 price point, but it's not gonna perform that well, and I feel like it's because we're overspending in certain areas like the memory. Yes, DDR4 3600 CL18, is it going to perform that differently from 3200 CL16? No, and the 3200 CL16 is going to be a lot cheaper. So I would have gotten that. The other thing is, yes, Samsung 970 EVO, great drive if you get the 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte size. Questionable choice though at 500 gigabytes because we're not doing video editing. We're not moving around a lot of files. So really we just want a budget gaming drive, and I would definitely shy away from the more expensive drives, even the Gen 3 drives here. It was good that you didn't go SATA, but we can definitely do better on the M.2 front. The case, very expensive case for a budget build. This is like one of the no-nos when you do a budget build. Maybe I'll do a whole video on like how to do a budget build, like what to think about, not just give you a build template, but what to think about as you go through it. One of the things you don't want to do is overspend in areas like the case. You just want something that's good enough, with good enough airflow that looks good enough and doesn't look like a total piece of garbage. This is a very nice case. $100 on it, that's too much. That's 10% of our budget. Power supply, I don't mind as much. CX, 650 watt, 80 plus bronze. Once you get down to these lower levels of power usage, 450 watts is all you need. Sometimes it just makes sense to buy the bigger PSU units because they're on sale or you get a deal on it rather than buying a more expensive, 400 or 500 watt unit or 450 or 500 watt unit. But in this case, I think we can do better. $60 is a little I'm thinking more $35 to $40 at the budget level. And then the real killer here is having to spend $110 on Microsoft's official Windows license. That's brutal, brutal, I'll tell you. Now, there's two ways we can go about remedying this. One is we can just delete the Windows license altogether, and you can use Windows 10 for free forever. Now, there are limitations to it. You aren't going to get the same personalization options. Like, for instance, you won't be able to display your system temperatures down in the system tray. It limits what you can do there, limits what you can do with some other things. So it does often make sense to just buy a key from a key reseller that's going to resell an OEM key to you, a Windows 10, for about $20 to $25, maybe even lower sometimes. And that would save you a lot of money, because for budget builders, an official from Microsoft license is really brutal. Overall, I feel like we could just do a lot better in this build, so let's jump into it. I'm calling this build an actual 12th gen budget gaming PC, because this is an actual PC that will absolutely shred games at 1080p, high frame rates for your budget. Well, I spent $12 more. I'm going to convince you to spend the $12, trust me. Overall, great performer. How did we do this? Let's start off with the graphics card, because as I told you in the last episode, this is where any good budget gaming PC starts. You have to focus it around the graphics card you're going to get. You might say, Jason, I want to get something now and then get something later. Well, that's the case. Then build an APU with a Ryzen 5600G. That would be a great build for about $600, waiting for graphics card prices to come down. But I can get you great gaming performance right now without having to do that. So why do that and waste 6 months of your life? Let's go instead with the Radeon RX 6600. Now, you could go with the 6600 XT. I just couldn't fit it in your budget. We probably could have penny pinched it in, but I just felt like compromised too many other areas. But the 6600 is going to get you RTX 3060 level performance at gaming. Fantastic card, 8 gigabytes of VRAM, available from Newegg and other vendors right off the street, including Amazon, so you don't have to buy it from some third party on eBay, right? That's the way how you get a 3060 right now, unless you win the Newegg Shuffle. So we don't have to do any of that, and we get phenomenal performance. Anybody building a budget gaming PC with a budget of about $1,000, the RX 6600 is the first place you should look. But a lot of people want to consider, well, what about the GTX 1650 Super? Yeah, same price as this card, except the performance is leagues below it. So why would you buy it? The only reason those cards are so expensive is because they're really good at mining, cryptocurrency mining, and miners were buying them. Although there's a big crash going on, we'll see how that might upset the apple cart. And then for the CPU, we went with the i5 12400. Why did we go for the 12400, not the 12400F? Because right now the 12400F is selling for $6 less. And for $6, get the 12400. The integrated graphics can be used if you do video editing to help speed up encoding. I suspect the prices of these CPUs are going to come down. Right now they are selling well over their MSRPs because they're still trickling into the market and they're being sold out pretty quickly. 12400 is good. You could go 10th or 11th gen. I know the 10400 I considered, it's only $150. But you kept your last PC for so long and that last graphics card for so long. I feel like I want to get you something that's going to continue to be relevant for at least a couple of years. And there was a big enough jump between 11th and 12th gen that I felt like this was the way to go. The one challenge with i5 12400 builds right now continues to be motherboard availability. B660 motherboards are hard to find. There are limited selection right now. You either have the really kind of crummy tier ones, let's call them the budget tier ones, but they're not selling for what I would consider budget prices, or you have the stupid expensive ones where you're kind of like, why am I not just buying a Z690 motherboard then? Because they're not that much more money. So it is a little head scratching right now in terms of the motherboard, the B660 pricing. For the time being, I'm sticking with the Prime B660M. This is a DDR4 motherboard, $140. I feel like this motherboard should cost $100, but it costs $140. And honestly, there really isn't anything better that has better features for what I would consider a fair price. So we're going to go with this. To that, we're going to simply add the cheapest kit of 2x8 DDR4 3200 CL16 memory. 3200 CL16 is going to get us probably most of the performance, especially with this level of graphics card. We don't exactly have a 6900 XT here. We've got a 6600. Great graphics card, but not going to notice the difference between memory. And of course, we went ahead and swapped out your super expensive 500 gigabyte drive with a much more budget-oriented offering. The case. Now the case for this, it's cheap. I'm not going to lie to you, but it's perfectly adequate. We used the same case for our Ryzen 5600G APU build. Really good budget offering. It's got cheap build quality. It looks really nice. It comes with 3 included fans. Yes, 2 were Molex, so what? They do the job, and eventually if you need to, you could replace them. Gonna give you the airflow that you need, and honestly, what else do you need from a case at this budget level? Then your power supply, we simply just dialed it down to a 500 bronze unit. This is the EVGA BR. This is C tier. That makes you feel a little uncomfortable, yet you could spend a little bit more money and go back to the CX unit you had is a better rated unit probably. But I think this is gonna be fine. I've used these power supplies in the past. I haven't had any problems. Yes, sample size of what, 3, 5, 7, however many I've done. I feel really confident in these units, and for $35, that's pretty much all you're gonna need. For $1,011, we got you an amazing gaming PC. Overall, I feel like for the price and for the amount of time I think you're gonna keep this PC, this is a major boost to your build. Thank you for joining us for this month's Boost My Build. I know he really appreciates. Remember to give the video a like if you got value out of it. He loves putting his face on the screen because the screen is warm. If you're wondering what the heck he's doing right now, he's got to be the laziest PC building cat of all. If you want to see a PC built by a cat, then check this video out up here. I'm just kidding, of course, but this is our newest Ryzen 5950X RTX 3080 Ti PC, video editing and gaming PC. Check it out. It was awesome to build. He actually helped quite a bit. And with that, I'll catch you on the next one.